Welcome to this explainer. I am so glad you're here with us. Over the next few minutes, we're going to dive right into a rapid-fire decade of extreme, totally disconnected natural events, just to try and make sense of Earth's awe-inspiring power. You know, we often walk out our front doors, grab a coffee, and treat the environment around us like it's just this static backdrop to our busy lives. But our planet is anything but static, and the visual evidence from just the last 10 years completely shatters that illusion. Picture this for a second. You're just loading up your car, maybe you forgot your wallet, or you're simply driving to work in Los Angeles on a normal December morning in 2017. Boom! Suddenly, you are met with the full chaotic force of nature completely surrounding you. We're talking massive wildfires raging right alongside the highway, turning your standard morning commute into a scene straight off another planet. It really forces us to ask this compelling question. What happens when our highly structured human routines just absolutely collide with the wild, untamed forces of nature? Well, let's break down these forces layer by layer. All right, Section 1, the restless Earth. Let's look at what happens when the very ground beneath us decides to give way. So, over the past decade or so, we've mapped out a truly stunning timeline of rapid Earth shifts, and we've witnessed the cascading consequences of sheer structural instability. Just look at this. We are talking about incredibly thick mud violently coming down Swiss mountains in 2018. We've got terrifying giant landslides and rock slides hitting China in 2019 and 2023. And perhaps most shockingly, back in 2020, an entire chunk of land in Norway just gave way, causing totally empty homes to slide straight into the sea. Fast forward to 2024, and a sudden sinkhole simply opens up out of nowhere in Illinois. The takeaway here? Solid ground isn't always a guarantee. Holy oh my, that's God. I mean, that raw, visceral reaction captured on video perfectly sums up the sheer shock of sudden ground movement. When you experience a massive 7.0 magnitude earthquake, like the one that rattled Alaska in 2018, or a 6.7 quake that completely interrupted a couple's wedding, your brain actually struggles to process the scale of the energy being released. The literal foundation of your reality is shaking. And you know, the Earth's restlessness isn't just about shaking, it's downright explosive. Take the 2014 Papua New Guinea volcano eruption. That explosion actually created a massive, highly visible shockwave ripping right through the atmosphere. Unbelievable. Or on the flip side, think about the slow, steady, fiery crawl of lava, physically devouring a house in Hawaii back in 2018. It's this wild spectrum of Earth's power, moving from the instantaneous crack of a shockwave all the way to the slow, inevitable destruction of molten rock. Moving right along to Section 2, the unstoppable force of water. Let's talk oceans and ice. Okay, so you probably already know the fun trivia fact that icebergs are way bigger underwater than they are above, right? But actually seeing the visual contrast of that scale firsthand, it is truly mind-blowing. That towering peak above the water is just a tiny, tiny fraction of the unimaginably massive hidden base lurking right below it. It is literally the perfect metaphor for nature's power. What we see on the surface is almost nothing compared to the true weight behind it. The wildest thing I've ever tried in my life. That was the stunned, absolutely breathless reaction of a guy on an Iceland tour boat in 2019. He was out there just taking in the sights when a massive piece of a glacier suddenly broke off and collapsed violently into the ocean, generating this massive wave. It's a pretty harsh reminder of how quickly a passive little sightseeing trip can turn into a front row seat to the planet dramatically reshaping itself. It is honestly terrifying to see how frequently humanity literally collides with displaced water, because the sheer volume nature can produce is just staggering. Whether it's sailors taking on a giant wave in 2015, a totally sudden tsunami hitting the coast of Greenland in 2017, or massive cruise ships being tossed around like bath toys near Norway in 2019 and Ireland in 2020. And hey, it's not just the open ocean. In 2022, severe flooding completely wiped out a massive structural bridge in Puerto Rico. Water, if you give it enough momentum, basically acts as an unstoppable battering ram. Heading up from the water, Section 3 brings us to fierce winds and tornadoes, the air in motion. Over this past decade, as charted on our timeline here, we've tracked a dramatic, frankly scary escalation of historic wind events. We're mapping out record-breaking tornadoes all across North America, from the colossal Kansas tornado in May 2016 to the biggest tornado in Wyoming's entire history in 2018. We saw another absolute behemoth hit Kansas in April 2022, and just recently, a giant tornado cut a massive path right through Canada in April 2024. This clearly shows us that the atmospheric engine driving these storms is incredibly active right now. But hey, it's not just the wide-open plains of North America, right? Fierce winds can strike anywhere. Like in Amsterdam in 2019, where a tornado formed out of nowhere in mere seconds. And nature's wind phenomena can range from the awe-inspiring, like 4 massive waterspouts emerging completely simultaneously off the coast of Thailand, to the highly relatable and surprisingly stressful moments, like a dad desperately trying to save the family trampoline from blowing away in heavy winds. Actually, scratch that, it's more like everyday life getting completely swept up in the current of the atmosphere. Finally, we reach Section 4, Bizarre Atmospheric Anomalies, the absolute mysteries of the sky. So when we look up at the sky, some rare phenomena seem almost, well, supernatural. They totally defy our daily understanding of weather. A perfect example was spotted in Florida in 2020 and also recorded down in Guatemala. It poses a great question. What exactly is a crown flash? Well, a crown flash is this exceedingly rare meteorological phenomenon where ice crystals perfectly align with an active thunderstorm's electromagnetic field. This creates what looks like a shifting, dancing pillar of light right above the clouds. Catching this rare visual really shifts our perspective, reminding us that the sky isn't just fluffy clouds and rain. It is a highly complex, powerful electromagnetic engine. The atmosphere just loves throwing bizarre curveballs at us that completely defy expectations. Back in 2020, a storm literally encased entire New York homes in solid ice. A Texas storm was so intensely powerful that the hail actually started tumbling inside a person's house. We've had this surreal experience of snow lightning in Southern California in 2019 and the downright apocalyptic visual of a volcano in Indonesia generating its own electric lightning storm as it erupts. Nature absolutely does not stay neatly in the boxes we draw for it. Let's bring this back to a super practical, albeit terrifying, everyday scenario. Imagine you're on a relaxing cruise ship vacation. You're out on the deck, enjoying the view. And suddenly, you and the other tourists notice extreme static electricity. Your hair stands straight up on end. Now, it might seem like a funny little photo opportunity in the moment, but why is this extreme static such a terrifying warning sign? Because it is a literal, highly actionable warning sign that a direct lightning strike is imminent. At any second, the electric field is literally charging the air right around you. It's that exact same sheer, sudden electrical power that directly hit a commercial plane flying over Finland, or, incredibly, struck right in front of a cockpit in midair. Seriously, when your hair stands up on a boat, nature is screaming at you to get inside immediately. By framing these deeply mundane, everyday moments against these massive forces, we start to see the true scale of our dynamic planet. We see a guy just trying to relax in a pool in Taiwan when an earthquake hits, sending water sloshing everywhere. We see regular, everyday houses in Montana getting entirely buried under a literal invasion of tumbleweeds. We see a massive meteor casually lighting up the night sky in Idaho in 2022. Every single one of these moments tells the exact same story. We live completely 100% at the mercy of the elements. And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've seen the ground split open, the oceans rise up, the air spin into devastating tornadoes, and the skies dance with raw electricity. It leaves us with one incredibly memorable, provocative thought to take away. When our everyday human lives inevitably collide with these massive, unstoppable forces, are we truly the masters of our environment, or are we simply visitors on a deeply restless Earth? Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep looking at the world with curiosity.